Well, good evening, everybody. This is a big night in the House. The Republican Party just delivered on our promises once again. We passed a big and important health care bill that will bring down the cost of health care. The Lower Premiums for All Americans Act does exactly what the title suggests. It will reduce premiums for all Americans by, on average, at least 11% overall. And that's just the beginning. There will be much more to come, more ideas in the first part of next year to bring down the cost of health care. And what the bill did in addition to that tonight is it increases the quality of care, the access to care. It gives persons more options, more flexibility in their health care, and also it adds transparency. We had the PBM, Pharmacy Benefit Manager transparency piece to it as well. Now contrast that with the Democrats' COVID-era subsidy that they wanted to extend. That would only impact 7% of Americans. The bill we just passed impacts 100% of Americans. Their version would impact 7% of Americans, and it would cost taxpayers $350 billion. That is not the way to reduce the cost of health care. The Democrats do not want a solution they just demonstrated because they voted against this bill. They want an issue for the election. It is based on a false narrative. The Democrats broke America's health care system. When they gave us the ACA, the Unaffordable Care Act, 15 years ago, they promised that premiums would come down, that access would increase, and quality of health care would increase. None of that happened because it's a flawed system. Their response right now is to subsidize and continue to shovel taxpayer dollars onto a broken system. We say enough is enough. The Republican Party is the party that is bringing the ideas forward to fix this crisis and fix this problem for everyone. It is a serious problem. We took a big step tonight to do that. We hope that this gets signed into law quickly because it will have the desired effect. We hope the Senate can get this done in short order. We'll be back in January to do much more of this, more policies, more ideas ahead, policy changes to fix the broken health care system again that was broken by the Democrats. So I'm glad the Republicans stood together tonight. Big night for us. We'll have another day on the legislative floor tomorrow, and then we will probably wind up the year. So I wanted you to have that update.
So will you let the subsidies expire? You're prepared to let the House go home and let the subsidies expire?
They got a sufficient number of signatures on a discharge petition for that subsidy, which is not good policy, as I've just explained. But it's inevitable that it comes to the floor for consideration. I think the 7 legislative days have to toll. That's the rule. There's no way around that. And so it would be on the floor that first week of January when we return. And we said it's not possible to do so. The discharge petition has a rule that cannot be broken. 7 legislative days must expire before it's considered on the floor. They could go by way of a rule to bring it to the floor in regular order, but that rule is not going to pass because, again, it's terrible policy, and that's what the Republican Party understands. And I think the American people understand when they get past the false narrative that the Democrats have tried to create. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and the other Democrats are going to try to say, by some stretch of the imagination, that the Republicans are responsible for the failed health care system when Republicans have not voted for that system for 15 years. This is the Democrats' creation. We have to fix it, and that's what we've begun to do now, and we'll continue to do in the new year.
But on the discharge petition, does this act of defiance from 4 of your own members who said this is a critical issue change your mind?
It's not an act of defiance. I understand what they're doing. I understand that every member has a different district with different dynamics and different demographics. And some of them felt like it was a really important thing to have a vote on the floor. I tried very hard, and they will all tell you that. I tried very hard over the last several weeks and even through the weekend and as late as yesterday trying to engineer a way for them to have a vote on the floor so they could show that priority. But it was not to be. You've heard all the machinations of how it came about. There's no ill will here. This is not a challenge to the Speaker's leadership. They're using the rules. Here's the reality, everybody. We have a small majority. We have a razor-thin majority, a record small majority. And so things operate differently when you have a small majority. In the old days, a discharge petition would never be used by the majority party or anybody in it because the Speaker had a long stick that he would administer punishment for that. Okay, I don't have that because we have a small margin. So, I love all these guys and ladies that I work with. I understand what their concerns are. We talked about it at length. I was in those rooms with them, and we had, as we say in the Deep South, you hear me say all the time, some intense fellowship. But it's all good. Everybody's in good spirits now, and everybody understands what's happening. I don't know if you just saw that on the floor. There's great collegiality and partnership and friendship on the floor, and that continues.
Did you mishandle this issue?
I don't
Some
know.
of your Republican colleagues believe you did.
Well, I think two of them said as much, but I think if you talk to everybody across the conference, they'll say, I'm not sure how it could have been handled any differently or any better. It's a very delicate situation. Let's look at the reality. Healthcare is a very complicated issue. Healthcare and immigration are probably the two most complicated areas of public policy. It's very difficult to get unanimous consensus, unanimous consent on a solution. We effectively have to have that, unanimity. Think of it. It's a very, very difficult thing, a very big challenge, and people get sometimes excited and emotional about these things because the stakes are very high for their constituents, mine as well, all of our constituents. What I'm promising to you all is that we will continue to do what we did tonight, and that is lower the premiums for everybody, all Americans. You're going to see that demonstrated, you're going to see that work continue, and everybody will be working together. Thank you all. Have a blessed Christmas.